Congressman Waltz represents the 6th Congressional District, and that's us. He joins us live this morning on WNDB's Morning Update. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I have you now.
Okay. You're co-sponsoring a couple of bills in the next week, including one on police reform from Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina. What will that bill entail?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking, Mark. It has a few things in it. It has some law enforcement reforms that I think a number of people have wanted to see for some time, mainly on the reporting side, to have a better idea of what's happening, what's truly happening, get data behind it across the country. So we're seeing use of force reporting, no-knock warrant reporting. It incentivizes putting bans in place. This is the federal government incentivizing putting bans in place for chokeholds. It also will put, pretty much nationwide, body-worn cameras, the body cams, which I think actually end up telling the story of what police officers go through day in and day out, but also catch those important moments like we just saw in Atlanta and help tell the whole story there. And then I think the other key aspect that I was very supportive of was records retentions for law enforcement so that, and you've heard me say before, I think it is a tiny, tiny minority of our police officers are out there, but there are some bad cops out there, and this would prevent them from hopping from department to department or state to state. So there's other pieces, but those are the main pieces that I'm supporting. We need to see what we can get through the House with, Pelosi has her own ideas there. But, importantly, Mark, I sat down with Barbara Gertman, with Derrick Henry, with our minority elected leaders and really heard from them along with Senator Tom Wright and just heard from them, their personal stories where they believe we can do better as a community and really just listen as we move forward through this, or we move through this as a country and try to move forward.
I have to tell you that the feedback I got from police on this bill was nothing short of hallelujah, because they were saying that we need to have this national database for some time. Let me move to another, which is you're sponsoring a bill.
Importantly, I'm sorry, Mark, just to jump in there. All of these things need more resources, not defunding. I think that is a very critical point to make, right? So to get our police better, we need to help them get there.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad you made that point. Also, you're sponsoring a bill that will improve military housing. Is there a real shortage of military housing?
No, it's not necessarily a shortage, Mark. What's happened over the years is the military has gotten out of the business of government managing the homes that are on bases. They've outsourced that management to private contractors. But there have been some real shortfalls and some really horrific situations that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine have had to deal with, and they shouldn't. So some of the things this bill is going to tighten up really is looking at mold mitigation, establishing a mechanism that that our military members can report where they have problems. Oftentimes they don't know what the contractors are on the hook to do for the government. They get a lot of misinformation. So publicizing those DoD contracts and getting more transparency there, and then really kind of getting standardizing across all the services on what these housing contractors need to be providing for our military members on base. At the end of the day, Mark, we want them focused on their mission overseas or here at home, not on, kind of bad landlords when it comes to these Defense Department contracts. That's the least we can do for our military members, and I'm proud to be pushing this legislation.
Oh, thank God for that, because that it would be a significant distraction. There is one other thing. Allison had asked what I wanted to ask you about, and I had said China, but in reality, this is North Korea. This week, Congressman, North Korea apparently blew up the place where the president and the leader of North Korea met, and it seems like we're rolling backwards on any kind of a deal with North Korea on nuclear weapons. Am I reading that right, that the situation has grown colder between us and North Korea instead of working out some kind of a situation based on the president's meetings?
Yeah, the North Koreans are getting more and more belligerent, including in their kind of bizarre symbolic fashion. You know, the North Koreans don't just lock the doors of this liaison office. They literally blew up the building. Don't even know what to say about that. But at the end of the day, look, I supported the president and his outreach to the North Korean dictator. Nothing, so little else had worked and so much had been tried. It was out of the box. But let's try it over the past few decades. But look, enough is enough. I don't think the North Koreans have done anything to show that they are going to denuclearize. And I think the administration is at a bit of a pivot point. And do we go back to full maximum pressure, diplomatic, economic, and otherwise? Or do they accept North Korea as a nuclear power, which, that man's finger on the button that can destroy American cities is not something I think we should live with. So I think they have some tough decisions to make going forward. But the North Koreans are kind of like a whiny child we've always dealt with. They're going to continue to throw things off their high chair and create international incidences to get attention back on them so they can try to get concessions because their economy continues to hurt. Unfortunately, their people continue to suffer.
Congressman Mike Waltz joining us live from the nation's capital today on WNDB. Congressman, always great to talk with you. Thank you so much for the minutes and the great information to share with our listeners. And we'll talk to you very soon, sir.